Let's talk about the furry comic Forestdale. Forestdale is a Sunday newspaper style comic, usually going for disjointed, joke per page formats. Every 10 pages is far more detailed than the others and follows a black and white art style. Occasionally there's a short 3 or 4 page story arc, but most of them can be read in any order. In it, we follow the residents of Forestdale, a small town anywhere sort of place. People dress like they live in the 1950s, listen to music like they live in the 1970s, and have technology like they live in the mid 2000s. So your guess is as good as mine. Honestly, it's a wholesome blend of all three, and that is the main word that you can really apply to this comic. Wholesome. Remember when you were just a kid and the most that you had to worry about was which Ninja Turtle was the best Ninja Turtle? Or who was borrowing your Game Boy? Or when you rode bikes until after dark or until everyone's mom started calling people inside for dinner? A time when all the children in a neighborhood could go missing, and the adults would just have to see whose lawn was covered with bicycles to know where everyone was. This is that in comic form. It's a warm, sunny childhood that everyone looks back on fondly. We spend most of our time following a number of kids and their various adventures in all the expected areas like school, sports, playing around the neighborhood at home, etc., etc. They joke and they play and they laugh and they bicker with each other in the exact way you would expect them to. This comic feels very safe. Almost too safe, really. These are all activities that you've probably done yourself, seen yourself, and heard jokes about yourself. I honestly started wondering if this comic had anything to say at all. I mean, yeah, cute is cute, that's fine, but there's tons of furry comics out there, and you gotta bring the heat if you want to be memorable and also not be NSFW. Then we see the first fleck of something going on under the hood. Jake, the dog/deer kid, experiences racism because he's a half-breed. His friend stands up for him, of course, but right away that got my radar up and going. Jake is the adopted son of a family of lizards and is every bit the son that the other two children of the household are. Later, during a school assembly, one of those cringy, dare to say no to drugs groups, has shown up to their school, and Jake comments that while, yeah, it's cringy, it also needs to be addressed more. Because the home that he was taken from was very self-destructive. Now I've got something to work with here. The entire comic is not about Jake, but having witnessed that about 30 pages in, I was now aware that while this comic is innocent and wholesome, there are some spots of very real darkness that will just creep up on you out of nowhere. I was seriously caught off guard when I saw this panel. As another example, we do have Susan, another character that is wheelchair-bound, quite frankly a rarity in furry comics, as I've only ever seen one or two. One of Jake's older siblings crushes on her constantly, and their interactions are just as romantically tense and adorable as you might imagine. Then, dozens of pages later, the comic explicitly shows us how she came to be in a wheelchair. Oh my god. Again, very cute and wholesome and innocent, followed by a heavy gut punch that you just don't see coming. The ebb and flow of Forestdale is to make you love and feel nostalgic for these characters because you probably know these people in real life. The situations that they're in, the games and the food and the bickering, it's all something you've known yourself. And then the curtain gets pulled back on the sweet and innocent world that they live in to remind you that everyone has suffered from some tragedy or another. One of the most thought-provoking ones for me was the Mother's Day strip, which of course shows everyone celebrating the holiday, save for one child whose mother is already gone. Her father is always extra supportive of his daughter, even going as far as canceling important business meetings to spend time with her. And over, like a tide, wholesome and innocent, to flecks of darkness and very distressing situations, Forestdale is hiding in plain sight, pretending to be a sweet, childlike setting with lots of frisbee and bike riding and make-out sessions, but it also shows that there is a darkness to life that you must be able to handle and move through, because that's what life is. Good and bad. So, should you read Forestdale? I would say so, yes, but probably do it slowly. Take your time with this one. Really connect with the characters. If you read it too quickly, the impacts of the serious parts, good and bad serious parts, won't be as impactful, and you don't want to deny yourself the raw experience. While initially it can come across as a relatively brainless comic about childhood shenanigans and very little else, this is not exactly something that you could read in Sunday school. I know I keep using the same word, but I'll say it again. There is a very real, very serious darkness hiding under the surface here, and how the characters choose to handle it is what makes them good people. And that is something that every comic should strive to be like. That's this owl's opinion anyway. Check it out.